Hey guys, it's Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. So we've got a few things that we're doing today. Oh wait, let's see if I can start this up too. I have a new way to talk to you guys. Oh wait, that's my pin, not the pin to this phone. Let's see. Can I do the thing? We are testing a new way to see us chat. Let's see. It looks like I'm seeing myself, sort of. All right. Hopefully I can see everybody on the app. It's being kind of weird. Let's see. Can I see chat? Okay. Okay. Oh god, this is very interference. Let's see what I can do about that. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me turn off the sound of my stream on the phone. All right, can you guys hear me still? Okay. Hopefully. Awesome. Cool. Cool, cool. All right. So yeah, I'm Ray and we are streaming blacksmithing. This last week we have, by the, the generosity of Yankee Axe, we have gained so many followers and so many viewers. There are so many that it would take me a very long time to go through the whole list. So I think I'm good. I wrote down the list, so I'm going to show it to you on the paper that I wrote. Hopefully you guys can see it. Thank you all so much. This might actually be backwards now that I think about it. Okay. Maybe I will read them. Notifications off. Okay, yeah, so I have so many of you guys that are following me. I'm so happy. So let's see. I think it might have been backwards, so, and I do have a delay. That's gonna be weird. So yeah, thank you so much. So today we are going to be making hooks, leaves, and just chatting, answering questions and stuff. So how this is going to work is I am going to turn on the forge in a second and we'll have our metal heating in there. And while the metal's heating, I will pick up the phone and I will read all of your chat, answer any questions that you have, any comment to the anvil, of course, and we'll do some blacksmithing. Does that sound good? The broadcast I was watching has just ended. On my phone. Let's see. Is it working? I hope it's working. Just dropped off. Oh. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm having a few technical difficulties with this. I think because I am streaming on the Wi-Fi and then this phone is also on the Wi-Fi, I'm having a little bit of a bandwidth issue. So I'm gonna see about, or what I can do about that, but I won't be able to do anything today. So Friday stream, I will see about working on that. Let's see. So first off, I am going to put that there, and I'm going to start up the forge. So I always start off the forge with a plumber's torch because I am too lazy to do it the traditional way. I think you guys in the last video were talking about how you can heat up kind of like hammer and hammer and hammer and hammer. And it's a very quick an even pace, and it will actually start heating up the tip of a piece of steel, and then you can put it in the forge and it will light, like kindling and stuff like that. It doesn't work quite as nicely for a gas forge. So we're gonna do it the, you know, modern way. So I've got my plumber's torch here. And if it lights, I have some trouble with this sparker sometimes. There it goes. And turn on the gas at the forge. Alrighty. So I'm gonna put my hearing protection on. And I'm gonna look at the stream on the phone. It looks like, okay, so ping in the net says, how long does it take to heat up? It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to heat up, and heat up a piece of metal. So I'm gonna put the piece inside. And we've got about 10 minutes to talk. So yeah, I can answer any questions. I think my camera is a little bit cockeyed, so I'm gonna fix that real fast. I made it worse. There we go. So yeah, I have been forging. Let's see, I started about 2 years after I graduated college, so that would have been 2010. Yeah, it kind of saves on propane a little bit. But yeah, so like I said, I have been, well, I guess it's almost 2025 now. I have to take a few years out of that number because I got really sick in early 2020. And I'm sure you guys can guess what I got sick with, since I mentioned the year. My partner is a news photographer, so they use the camera and stuff, and they got sent on a story in the hospital, and that was before we really knew what was going on, and so I got it, and I ended up with a really bad reaction to it, and I'm just now getting back out into the forge. So I would say about 10 years I've been forging. I'm a little bit rusty now, but we're working through it. It's kind of like riding a bike. You never really forget, but you're not quite as good or in shape as you were before. So like I said, I'm kind of rebuilding my strength and stamina. So if I end up, you know, sitting down a little bit more than, you know, that's kind of why I do get a little bit tired sometimes. So yeah, but I'm feeling a lot better, and getting back out into the shop has really, really helped me. So, let's see. Today we are doing hooks, and we're gonna do some leaves. So I put a section of 4-inch, 1/4-inch square stock that's 4 inches long in the forge, and that's heating up. So we're gonna try again on that leaf hook that we were working on Monday with a little bit smaller stock, because I wasn't able to move it quite as fast as I wanted to, and I couldn't really finish it. So yeah, we're going to try and finish one of those, and if we've got more time, I've got this nice piece of stock here, and we're gonna make some more leaves. So Ping in the Net was talking on Yankee's stream about what rust looks like forged rust. So this is kind of like what it looks like. You can see some like orange on these tongs, and that's kind of like it's rust forming on there. So if I were to put these into the forge and allow it to heat up, all that rust would actually fall off. Am I a member of a smithy guild? I was a member of the Illinois Blacksmith Association for a few years, but they do most of their meetings up closer to Chicago, and I live closer to Missouri, so I live really far south, and so I need to get involved in the Missouri Blacksmithing Guild, but a lot of their meetings actually happen in the middle of the state, so I'm kind of in this weird dead zone between the Illinois Blacksmith Association and the Missouri Blacksmith Association. So I really need to get back involved in them, but it's kind of a part. I'm just now getting back to it. All right, it looks like, okay. Hello. Welcome in, everybody. Let's see. Our forge is starting to heat. We've got a nice orange color inside the forge, but we actually want to see a nice bright yellow color inside the forge before we start working on the material. It's actually kind of a matchy color a little bit on this particular forge. This one is made out of fire brick. So the fire brick, here's a piece of the fire brick that I cut off. So it's kind of very porous, and it's pretty neat like that. So what this does is it actually reflects heat. They use it for like ceramic kilns and stuff like that. Less so in like fireplaces and stuff, but it's really nifty. So my forge is actually built of, let's see, it's 6-sided, and there are 3 layers of bricks. So I guess that makes 18. There are 18 bricks in my forge, and I've kind of like hold it together with a cage of steel that I welded together. And because the bricks are not like very, very close together, there's some gaps in them. So what I did is I took mortar for chimneys, and I lined the whole inside of it, so there are no more gaps inside. It's like got cement all up in there, so I don't get any leakage, which is really, really good, because I definitely don't want to set my table on fire, and I also don't want to lose the heat. So let's see, what else can we talk about? So I kind of sort of picked up my shop. So in case you guys are interested in seeing like a kind of a shop tour, Would you guys be interested in seeing like the rest of the shop that you can't see from the camera? Is it something you guys would like to see? Yes, awesome. Okay. While we're still waiting for our steel to heat up, you wanna do maybe a 5 or 10 minute tour? I can show you a little bit. Is ventilation a concern? Ventilation is a concern, and because I need to make sure that I can actually because the forge actually eats up a lot of oxygen, and the way I'm gonna flip the camera on this because I'm using my phone. I'm sorry. Let's see, is that working? It looks like, oh, I know why. Because my phone case has a little, a thing. Okay. Now let's see if I can do this. So this is a self-aerating forge. So you can see, that's the burner right there. And it's made out of a plumbing junction. That's black iron pipe. And so the third hole up there that's not attached to any other pipe, oxygen goes inside of there, and it's kind of sucked up in there by the fire, and it kind of spits out into the actual forge. So you can kind of see the forge, and there's the material in there. I've got some bricks in there that kind of hold it up. How is the rod propped up in the burner? Does it rest on the bottom? It does actually rest on the top of the forge. So I've kind of got it propped so that it, let's see if I can, okay. So up here, it kind of rests on a hole that's over here. And then the bottom of the burner kind of rests on the roof of the forge itself. So that's really neat. And I've got a fiber blanket in there kind of to hold it in there, and that's a reflective blanket or a heat reflective blanket. Ordinarily you can buy forges that are made of that stuff, but you really gotta you've gotta line it with the cement much better than I would have to for my bricks. And this over here is my shop press. It is powered by the air compressor back there. So it's a pneumatic press. And so I've got let's see, where's a safe spot to put my other phone? So I've got this guy right here is a handle, and I stick it here, and I can turn this up and down, and the press will actually go and close on the jaws there. So that's how that works. And I'm trying not to make you guys sick. Okay, so over here is one of my workbenches. I've got an extra bit of water there. There's my propane torches, my plumbing torches. This big handle right here, this guy right here is it's a metal shear. So if I've got skinny plate, you might use for HVAC kind of stuff, that amount. So there's a sheet right there of steel, and I can take that and I can cut it. And this guy is called a Beverly shear. And then it's like a giant metal scissor. So that's one way that I can cut metal. Oh, that guy's just water. It would be, nice if it was caffeine, but that actually will dehydrate you. So I gotta make sure that I'm really careful about keeping hydrated. Because I get kidney stones, and those are never pleasant. It's so easy to get to grow kidney stones in the shop if I'm not, drinking water constantly. So this right here is my chop saw. It's a DeWalt. It's beautiful. I'm not being paid by DeWalt, but I love this thing. So that's how I cut all of the pieces of steel that I use. And then we come over here and we can see my welders. The Lincoln right there, that is it's not a MIG, it's kind of like a flux core welder, that's what they call it. And then the one down there is a stick welder. So I use this one for my steel, and I use this one for like any brass or bronze or anything that I'm trying to weld. Yeah, and it is a multi-amp stick welder, and then this one is kind of variable as well. It's really nice. I love this thing. This is what I use to replace my Harbor Freight special after I broke it. This guy is an engine hoist. And you can see behind there, those are all my extension cords and my air hoses. And then I also have welding helmets back there. So yeah, that's an engine hoist. It helps me to lift really heavy pieces. And then there's my heater, which it doesn't turn on until it's below 0. That is a sand blaster. And I can use that to like strip paint or any other like nasties off of my steel. When I get really rusty steel, sometimes I'll use that to get rid of it and make it a little bit more safe. That's my cold shop in there. This is my bench grinder. I also have a belt grinder that's attached to there. The belts are in the cold shop, and I can put those in there. Where are the files? I absolutely despise files. I have no patience for them, but I do have a drawer full of them. And then this is my welding table where I do all my welding. I have a couple different drills and an angle grinder on there. My breathing mask is there. That's my microphone case. Let's see. Another broken air compressor. This is all of my tools, like the tools that I use for blacksmithing. So on the left-hand side there are a bunch of my hammers, and on the right-hand side are a bunch of my tongs. So I use the tongs to hold the hot metal, and then all of the hammers I get to use to move the metal. The red ones are for silversmithing, goldsmithing, and doing copper and stuff like that. I can also use them for sheet metal. I have a separate set that I use for steel, which those have kind of moved to my steel or sheet steel hammers. And I have a brand new set that I use for my goldsmithing. This is, sorry about the pan was really fast there. This is my post vise. It goes all the way into the floor, as you can see there. It is a 4-inch. I did see someone was asking what size this one was. It is a 4-inch. It is a beefy 4-inch, but the jaws are only 4 inches. You can see down there that is my like scrap pile. It's just kind of, whatever. That guy holds just random tools that I'm working with at any given time. Let's see. Slow pan. This is my swage block. I use this guy for making bowls and spoons, ladles, anything that I need a curve on that I can't do with a anvil horn. So these are kind of concave forms, whereas the horn of the anvil will give you a lot of convex shapes, if that makes sense. I hope it does. I have a bunch of pigs. These are my gas pigs. I actually have 6 of them, which is very, very excessive for what I do. But everybody and their mother, when they heard that I was a blacksmith and use propane, they gave them to me. Anybody who had a broken gas grill just gave them to me. So it was really, really nice. But, you know, it's kind of obsessive. A small scale kiln. I can do like enameling, small casting projects, things like that. And wax. Am I dropping out again? I think I am. So yeah, there's a bust there, and that I made out of clay and then cast in wax, and I could burn it out and turn it into whatever material I wanted. This right here is a bunch of like just different tools and stuff like that. These are stakes right here, and that's for concave and convex form. Let's see, sanding paper, stuff like that. I'm in the Wi-Fi dead zone. It looks like I might be. I'm so sorry. Can you guys see now? Alright. Let's see. I'm gonna go back over here and let's see if I can connect again. See me now? Yeah, that head, I cast that guy. So like, here, I will be right back. 1 second. Alright. Put you right there. Let's see if I can actually, I don't think I can reach it. All right. So this guy is made of microcrystalline wax. Originally, I sculpted her originally in clay, and then I molded her and cast her in microcrystalline wax. I could burn her out and turn her into, or like cast her in aluminum or bronze. I do have both bronze and aluminum. So here is a hand that I cast. This is aluminum. So this was sand cast. So that's pretty neat. I like doing that a lot. But it's really hard to cast by yourself, and I don't really have a lot of friends to help me in the area. So blacksmithing is a little bit easier to do. All right. We've got a nice cherry red, or I mean, orange. Yeah. Was that someone's? It was my hand. I cast it in, or I cast my hand in plaster, and then that was also done in wax, and then I burned that out. Or no, that was actually a sand cast, so I molded it again from the wax. All right, I'm gonna move the camera one more time. We're gonna go to the anvil. Hopefully it's not too bad for you guys when I do this. You guys can let me know. try to do this as smoothly as possible. Okay. All right, so now we're going to make another hook. So I think what I'm going to start with is the hook part itself, and then maybe we'll put some decoration on there. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start tapering this down. From two sides. To kind of make it even and to start thinning that out. I'm gonna straighten that out a little bit on the flat of the anvil. All right, and that is a nice, it's a dull cherry red, so that's kind of what I'm trying to look for when I'm putting it back in the forge. There are some processes that I can do while it is this hot, this cold, but right now, since I'm really trying to work hard to thin that out into a taper, I'm gonna want as much heat as possible. And you guys can let me know if I need to keep you on the wide. Because like right now I only have one camera. We're working on getting me a second camera, but I also have to get like a computer out here. Which we're working on that too, but let's see. Let's see. It tends really in the reason the 50s to 60s, well, not the, it's like mid 50s in like temperature wise, right? So because it is so cold, my anvil itself is actually cold. It starts to warm up, and it will warm up over time. The longer I forge, the better, or like the warmer that the top will get, and it will lose less heat less quickly. But because our forge itself is going pretty well, it also gains heat pretty quickly because it's a thinner piece that's a 1/4 inch thick stock. And yeah, so it gains heat really quickly. So we are actually almost ready to forge again, which is really, really nice. Do you guys want to see like the wide shot, or are you more interested in the close-up of the anvil, or do you want to see both, or do you have a suggestion for me? I think my chat is lagging out a bit. So until I see a chat that gives me an answer, I think I'm gonna keep moving. Okay, both would be nice. Closer most of the time. Okay, so you guys want to see mostly the anvil and less the wide. Okay. We can definitely do that. All right. Okay. Less movement too. All right. So we're going to continue working on this tip because we want to make sure that the tip itself is the width that, or like our final width for the hook. That way we kind of have a gauge on how far we need to taper. So as you can see, that's getting a little bit thin, and that's exactly what we want because we're going to roll that on the, we're eventually going to roll that back so that we've got a nice curl at the end. Okay, and so when we've got that nice black, we can start chasing that down, and that's what they call it when you flatten it. So you can see some of the more hammer marks where I've angled my hammer or where I haven't quite hit exactly where I want to. When it's this black, I can actually chase those away and make it all nice and flat and pretty. And then we'll go back in the forge to get some more heat because we're going to continue to that taper down. And like I said about the rust, there's some like little scale that's coming off of there, and so I want to make sure that I sweep that all away. So, alrighty. And this anvil, it is a hay button anvil. Oh, there was a strike plate. Okay. So, alright. So, this anvil, it is a hay button anvil. That's a manufacturer. I think this one is from the late 1800s. I purchased it for $2 a pound from just an antique shop out in the middle of nowhere. So a strike plate, it's basically like this area over here of the anvil. It is made of tool steel, and it's kind of like the axe bits. Yeah, $2 a pound. They are definitely not that price anymore. They've gotten a lot more expensive since like Milwaukee Blacksmith and like Forged in Fire and stuff like that. Yeah, you won't find those prices anymore. But I actually bought this in my the early days of forging. So this right here is a plate of tool steel, and it is affixed to. This is I can't even remember what it's called. I'll bet Yankee does. It's like it's the really stringy iron. I can't remember what it's called. They used to make it with iron and silica sand. But yeah, so this is actually a softer steel. Yes, wrought iron. That's it. This is wrought iron right here. And then this is a tool steel plate that was forge welded onto the whole top. It started way back here, and it should end here. But because there were flaws in this particular batch of forge welds for this particular batch of anvils, this plate has broken off right here. So this is all tool steel, and this is all wrought iron. Yeah, I have two real anvils, and then I have a railroad tie that I also use as an anvil. I have a line on some anvils. I think they're in South Carolina. But yeah, somebody is like selling a whole lot of them. So some of them are on, or a lot of them are on the expensive side. I think they're doing $4 to $5 a pound. Around here, you can still find a couple anvils for $2 a pound, but the antique shops are they've started raising their prices a lot. All right, I'm gonna bring the hook back real fast. So now I'm going towards the back of the anvil because we have already established the tip is the width that we want to see that. So we're working from two different sides. Like I said, the anvil face, it's starting to warm up now, but it's still a little bit on the cold side. Because I don't have any good, like I don't heat this place until it's like unbearably cold. Because I don't really need to. Because when I'm working out here, I've got the forge to work with. Let's see. Yeah, axes are crazy too because like so many people are like really getting into the hobby now. A lot of people are starting to retire and they want something to do. And yeah, they've just been buying up all of these antique tools and anvils and yeah. So it's a really fun hobby, you know. But the thing that I hate is that a lot of people will buy up really, really cheap stuff and then they'll resell it for like ridiculous prices. They'll go to like some barn sale where nobody knows what anything is worth, and then they'll like buy up all the stuff and then they'll look it up and they'll sell it for like double to triple what they paid for it. So a lot of my tools are old antique tools or stuff that I've made or been given. This particular anvil, yeah, they are going up. Yep, $300 on a 5, yeah. So this hammer here was made by a buddy of mine he was an apprentice at the Metals Museum in Memphis, Tennessee, and he put his maker's mark on there right there. It says country with an exclamation point. And he gave this guy to me because he had no use for it anymore because he got better at making tools. And I am, you know, I take people's tools, anything that they want to give me, and I'll put it to use, you know. I only have so many, you know, ways to get tools, and, you know, so I'm going to use it. I do have stock that I'm planning on making hammers with at some point in the future, but I got to figure out how to make my press function for hammer making. So we'll see about that because I don't have the stamina to hand hammer hammers, if that makes sense. So, all right, we've got enough heat now, I think. And we are continuing to draw that down. we're starting to kind of get that nice taper in there. So we've definitely got it. You can definitely see it on this side here. We're tapering in. So I actually want to reduce the tip a little bit further because, like I said, I kind of want to make a scroll on the end of that. So the way that we do that is just kind of put in a point very similar to a leaf point, and then we'll take it to the end of the anvil and kind of give some glancing blows off the end, and we'll twist that up. And I'm hoping it looks really nice. And we've got some more scale on here, so we'll clean that off. I cannot tell you how many times I have burned myself with the scale. So, is it better to use a lighter hammer blows and sneak up on the dimensions, or can you use a heavy hammer? Yeah, I won't do that because I won't wipe the scale away with my hand. That's a burn waiting to happen. You can when you are like trying to really hard to get to, or when you're trying to get to a specific shape, you do want to use really heavy hammer hits until you get really close to the size that you want. So, like, we'll go with this one. I've got, or like this one I used on the press. So I have a round die on the press, and so I've got like, you know, it's really ripply and there's a lot of like marks on here, and this is really marred, right? Well, it's honestly not that far away from the taper that we currently have from the hand hammer. So like these marks are from the press, and that's a 20-ton press, and that's a lot further. It's a lot more pressure than I can get with this particular hammer because it's only 2 pounds and I'm still kind of rusty. So, I mean, you can definitely use really, really heavy hits, and then when you get closer to where you want, that's when you want to bring down your pressure with like some smaller hits. I mean, you will see me using like really, really little ones, or really little hits, but when I'm actually trying really hard to get that taper, I'm moving a lot of material, so I will actually use my full body, and I will whip the hammer back down onto the anvil to get as much pressure as possible so I can move it quickly. Alright, so now we have a definite carrot shape going on here. We've got a nice area where it's all nice and tapered, and we'll probably bring that back a little, and choking up really far with the tongs. So I think I'm gonna bring the tongs back just enough that the piece doesn't wiggle in them for our next heat, so that we can bring that taper back. Just a little bit. I just want to make like I said, I do still want to reduce the tip a bit so that I can get that curl on the top. So I think that's probably the next thing that we're gonna do. We'll draw that down just a little bit further. like. Maybe I am having a little bit of bandwidth issues. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. It looks like my chat is not connected anymore. So let me restart the app. Get rid of close all and we'll restart this one. Twitch. Okay, I think maybe you guys are seeing me. Okay, yeah, I think it's really just, it's my my app that's like giving me the ability to look at your guys' comments that's like screwing up. I will see about, or what I can do about that soon. It's kind of a little bit of a test when it comes to being able to chat with you guys. I do like it though. I like it a lot. You guys have a lot of really interesting questions. All right, so now I'm focusing on this tip. Like I said, I want to draw that out real nice and skinny because I'm gonna, the plan is to scroll that tip. And as it gets skinnier, it's going to get colder faster. And so I have less and less time to work with it. Awesome. Yeah, it's looking like maybe I will need to connect a wire, or get a wired connection for at least one of these devices. So I'm not on Wi-Fi for both of them because I'm having a lot of issues with the connectivity today, and I haven't had that in the past. The hooks are good practice. And part of what I started doing the stream for is it's kind of a byproduct. I'd like to do some YouTube videos, like tutorial stuff. So as you can, like you guys have been enjoying all of the information that I'm talking about when I'm making the stuff. And part of that is so that I have dialogue that can go along with the visuals into YouTube tutorials. So I am currently learning how to stream, learning how to film myself, and learning how to edit all at the same time. It's a little bit of a challenge, but hopefully it works out in the end. Is to start out with small projects. So we are continuing to squish out that end, and we're getting really, really nice and thin like that. We are now at a point where it's so thin that that if I allow it to cool off like this and I work too hard on it, it will actually crack in half and I could break off the tip. So I 100% need to heat this up before I do much else with it. I think it is exactly the size that I need it to be for my scroll. So when I put it back in the forge, I'm gonna bring that taper back a little bit further to make it a little bit smoother, and then I'm gonna scroll that. Hello. Welcome to the stream. So we are streaming blacksmithing. We are streaming making a hook. I am getting towards the end of it. So is there any way of overheating the thin parts of the work? There actually is. Ordinarily. So there are two types of forges that most blacksmiths use, right? The most common one that a lot of people in the United States use is a propane forge. That's what I use. I've got a couple of them. But there is also a coal forge, and that's the most, the one that most people think of when they think about blacksmithing. It's the simplest one, right? So if we were working on a coal forge, we would 100% have to worry about melting our steel, because it's a coal forge is open to the air around the entire, it's just completely open to the air, and a lot of oxygen gets into it, right? But the gas forge, it has a much more limited supply of oxygen, and because of that, the temperature gets hot enough to melt, but it doesn't actually reach that tipping point to actually melt, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like a technical sciencey reason, and I think that's the simplest I can make it. I hope that answers the question. If it doesn't, let me know and I'll elaborate some more. All right, so like I said, we are gonna come back a little bit and smooth up that transition. And this is where I'm using those shallower blows, because we're a lot closer to where we want to be width-wise. So right now we're kind of just making it look all nice and pretty. In that next heat, we are going to scroll out the tip right there. Awesome. I'm glad that answer was satisfactory. So I have a lot of extra knowledge that a lot of blacksmiths that I know and have worked with do not actually have. And it's kind of partially because I'm a very curious person, and I need to know why things work the way they do in order for me to understand how to do it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I will sit there and I will get into these Google holes where I will just look up information and answers to questions. So yeah, I'm probably a pretty good person to ask all kinds of crazy blacksmithing questions. I don't actually have a degree in metallurgy, but I have done a lot of research with it. So I'm not an expert, but I've got a pretty good working knowledge. So yeah. Yes, Pig the Net. All right, so we've got a good, nice yellow glow on the tip of this piece of steel, and so we are actually going to try and scroll it. Now, it's been a little while since I've done this, so what you do is you start on the edge and you start tapping really, really lightly. And so we've got a nice like curl going on there. So then you start hammering back. And as you can tell, I've really choked up on the hammer. I've got a really nice close grip, and part of the reason is because I can actually get a lot more control than if I, when I'm, choked really far back on the hammer. I can get a really powerful blow back here, but I can't really get the precision that I need for this scroll. So I always choke up really nice. And we've got, looks like we got a cold shunt starting to form right there. So we're gonna have to be really, really careful. Hopefully we don't break the tip off. Maybe that's not a cold shunt. I'm hoping that it's just scale. Let's see if we do this. Will it go away? Looks like it did for the most part, so that's exciting. I'm very happy that I'm not going to break off the tip. But I am going to put it back in the forge so I have less of a chance. So we've got that scroll nice and started. So, let's see. I don't know if I've talked to you guys specific. I know I've talked about it on the stream, but I don't know if you guys were here while I was talking about hammer grips. There are like a lot of different hammer grips that metals people or metalsmiths use. I mean, your silversmiths and goldsmiths have a different grip that they use on the hammer than blacksmiths do. Or people who are using a hammer for like nailing. So when you get your claw hammer, you want a nice firm grip on there, kind of like that, so that you can really control your hammer blows. And it's really important, otherwise you're gonna mar the wood and stuff and like miss your nail. So you want a nice steady grip, and a lot of your force comes from your shoulder and your elbow. Not so for a blacksmith. A blacksmith grip is kind of, you have a firm grip with your first digit and your thumb, and that's your firm grip. That's how you hold on to it. That's how you get that or keep that control. But because the anvil bounces the hammers back up to our hand, you want to make sure that you have a looser grip so that you're not banging up into your hand, and that causes pressure and damage in your shoulder and elbow, and you can really injure yourself. So got to keep that nice loose grip on there. And a silversmithing grip, which I use for my goldsmithing, is actually a completely different grip. You have your thumb kind of on the neck of the hammer itself, and the reason you want to do that is because you can create a lot of control with the positioning of your hammer by pointing your thumb. And so exactly where you are hitting the hammerhead down onto your material is controlled by that thumb placement. How much gold do I smith at a time? I smith 0 gold at a time, and the reason I don't smith gold right now is because gold is sold in commodity or by commodity, and because the economy has been very variable lately, gold and other commodities have been really high priced. When I did most of my goldsmithing was when I worked for Signet Jewelers, so it was not my gold to buy. So I learned a lot from it. I don't regret working there. A lot of people do. But I had no issues except for with a specific manager in my specific shop. So yes, I'm trying to put it very gently because I want to stay out of controversial subjects. Alright, and we're going to continue with this scroll, and so we are going to hammer backwards. And then we're bringing up the material. And we are actually starting to curl that end. And we can curl it as far as we want to, or as little as we want to. So we've got a nice curl there, and we can actually bring it closer in if we want to. We can continue that curl if we'd like to, but I kind of like the, the simplistic little curl that we've got going there. So the next part of this hook, because we're going to do a J hook, is we're actually going to bring the tapered section around in a J. So to do that, I'm going to once again hit off of the anvil with glancing blows, and it's going to curve this section around. And I think, oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm definitely getting ahead of myself. I haven't even put in a way to attach or affix this hook onto the wall. I am always trying to do things or get ahead of myself, aren't I? Okay, so we need to either flatten this out or drift a hole in it, or we can make a leaf out of it. I'll have to think about that while it heats. If you guys have opinions, I'm open to that. If you guys want to see me drift a hole or do a leaf, we can do that. Or we can just smash it down and drill a hole with a drill. A lot of times I will drill holes with drills because it is a lot easier and it takes a lot of effort, or a lot less effort, but you do lose a lot more material. So drifting a hole, let's see if I can't find a punch. So this is a really, really big punch. We're not going to be able to use this particular one for this project. And the reason we're not going to be able to use that is because the diameter of this circle is wider than the material that we are trying to drift. And if we wanted to, we actually could, but today we're not going to because I don't actually have a proper drift. So this is a punch, and if we were trying to make a hole the same diameter, we'd actually start with a straight chisel or section with they call it a drift. So it's a hybrid punch and chisel. So you'd start with that straight, and then as you bring the as you create that hole, it would turn into a round, and you'd actually open that hole kind of like a buttonhole, if that makes any sense. I hope that I was able to explain that well enough. So for the moment, maybe we'll do a leaf just for the fun of it, for something decorative. So I'm going to bring this over and we're going to glancing blows at the edge of the anvil again to create a tip. But this time we're going to go all 4 quarters because we want that tip to be centered. Alright, so we've got a good start there. We're gonna turn that into a really thin tip similar to that, but not quite that bad. Or, I mean, not quite that skinny. Whoops. I dropped it. Let's see. So yeah, making a leaf on the end of our hook. So we kind of want to make a shape very similar to this guy. This is one of the hooks, or I mean one of the leaves that I made a few days ago. I think I made this one last week. So we made, or we chamfered in the tip, very similar to that taper, and then we left ourselves a nice broad area, and then we used our hammer to kind of draw that material out wider, and then we made ourselves a lovely little scrolled stem. So we're gonna see about putting a leaf on the back end of the hook. So the goal of Monday's hook was to kind of make a leaf on the end of that hook and use the stem as the like nail hole for the hook, so that when you nail it onto the wall, you kind of nail it into the circle from that we make with the stem of the leaf. That way I don't have to punch it or draw it, because that, like I said, I'm not a big fan of punching and drawing right now. It's a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time. I can pick this up, that would be great. Thank you. Alright. Got a nice tip on there now. Bring that out a little bit so that we don't end up having a bend in there. The wider that tip is, the easier it will be to lose the point of our leaf. And we definitely don't want to do that. Alright, so I've got a nice tip in there. I think we're good with that. So on our next heat, we're going to we're going to isolate the pyramidal shape that we've just created by hanging our leaf off of the edge and hammering straight down on the anvil, which will push the leaf that we have, or that we're trying to isolate, over the edge and create a step. Oh, come on. There we go. How long does a tank of propane last? Okay, so these tanks are, I think they're 20-pound pigs. I think that's what it is. Is it? It's a 15-pound pig. And these are barbecue pigs that like you would have on your gas grill. And my it really it's variable depending on the size of your forge, right? My forge, they last about 5 hours, it seems. I'm getting about 2.5 streams worth out of each of these pigs. And so that's about 5 hours because I'm streaming for about 2 hours every time. So when I get down to that last dregs, I can stretch it for about another hour. But at that point I have to juggle propane tanks because as they get low, it frosts over at the bottom. So this guy is a huge forge. My previous forge, I was forging for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I was getting all of that on 2 propane tanks, so 40 hours of forging-ish. And I mean, that's a little bit, I think I'd actually say about 35 hours, because there would be times where I was doing other things besides literally forging. Now, I have what I call the mailbox. Let's see if I can't show that one to you. So, this guy is the mailbox. I have lovingly dubbed him the mailbox. And the reason I call him a mailbox is because he's about the size of a mailbox. He is 1 brick. It's 1 brick. Yes, that is a brutal time banging on metal. Yeah, so the mailbox is 1 brick. And I can actually get 2 weeks on 1 tank with that thing. Because it doesn't require nearly as much pressure. So I have to increase the pressure the bigger the area of inside of the forge that I have. So yeah. I hope that answers the question. It's pretty variable. I don't actually have a official area for the forge that I'm currently using because I made this guy by myself. It's my design and I kind of built it on my own, and I didn't really actually do the math because I didn't really feel like it. It is bigger than my previous forge, though. But if you guys are really interested, I will, do the math on that, and I will have it for you maybe Friday, maybe Monday, depending on what I'm up to tomorrow. I've got some editing that I gotta do. So right now we are shelving this particular piece, or the leaf. We're isolating the leaf form, hanging it off of the anvil, and creating an indentation on 2 sides. And yeah, that isolates the leaf off, so that way we can hammer it flat against the face of the anvil and create our leaf. So another heat. Yes, it is a self-aerating forge. Let me see if I can't show you the burner on that. I gotta put this phone down real fast. All right, so this is the burner on the mailbox. This was built for me by a member of the Illinois Blacksmiths Association. So this is a bunch of plumbing apparatus, I think. That's black iron there. They drilled a hole in this pipe cap, and there is a sunken lock screw on the other side here. You can see that right there, I think, I hope. Yeah, you can see that right there. And so that actually holds this piece of black iron pipe in there. And inside of here, I don't know if you can see inside, but there's a MIG welding tip inside of there from a MIG welder. So this controls your gas flow, and we've got the hose that goes to the gas tank, and then this is the regulator. It is a high pressure regulator, and I've got a gauge on here, and that's a really nifty feature that I don't have on my original burner. But yeah, this goes straight into your propane tank, and this controls the main pressure, and then you can actually use this one to control the gas much more precisely. I actually love the mailbox. I take this when I'm doing mobile demos. And if I'm running low on gas and I don't have money for it, I will swap to that guy to get the last dregs out. So you might see me using that occasionally. Mort, thank you so much. Welcome in. I hope you have fun. I've been streaming blacksmithing for about a month. And yeah, so we are currently making hooks. I'm putting a leaf or a decorative leaf on the back of this hook. Right. Okay, so I will be adding, or I will be getting a YouTube, but I don't have any videos to put up just yet. I'm in the process of learning how to edit. I've got a video to put up, but I'd like to put 3 or 4 up first. And the one that I have is kind of crappy, so we'll have to, see what I can do about that. Do I go to craft fairs? Where do I demo my work? Where can we see your work? Let's see. I will have to add my Facebook to my profile. I do have a blacksmithing Facebook. It is R Downing Art. Let's see. Let's type that R. R Downing Art at Facebook, I think. You can see some of my furniture there. It's a little bit out of date. As far as where I demo, I actually demo at a lot of different places. I have demoed for the Boy Scouts. I have demoed for reenactors. And I'm continuing to shelf out this leaf by hanging it off of the anvil and forcing the material down the side of the anvil. It kind of spills out with the pressure. And so we've got nice right angles that are being formed from doing that. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to kind of thin out the back so it kind of has a little bit of a stem going. Once I've got the stem going, I think I'm gonna curl the back side and then kind of have a round curl there, and then have the leaf kind of hang over top of the hook. And that is the goal, I think. So I think that's what I'm going to do with this one. Yeah, I have also demoed for Renaissance festivals. I've done the one in St. Louis, Missouri. Well, it's near St. Louis, Missouri. They call it the St. Louis Renaissance Festival, but it's actually Wentzville, which is a St. Louis suburb. So yeah, I've demoed for a lot of different places. It's a lot of fun. There aren't too terribly many blacksmiths in the area. And I do know most of them. Let me refill my water here. I know a couple guys who've actually been on Forged in Fire. They're pretty neat. Yeah, the big guys, and it's never been quite the same. That's kind of why I ended up having to stop blacksmithing, because they wanted me to pay to demo for them. Once again, I'm continuing to isolate the leaf, creating a skinny stem. So once I've isolated that leaf, I'm going to bring that, I'm going to bring the draw back closer towards our hook end, and I'm gonna have to change tongs, because these tongs are designed for 1/4 inch stock. These tongs are just designed for square stock of any size. So they're parallel tongs. And yeah, so basically what these are is they just have little corners. So whatever size stock that I happen to be using, they'll hold them real nice. Whereas the tongs that I was previously using, I designed those specifically for 1/4 inch stock, which is the raw version of what I've been using here today. So a blacksmith is constantly making a new sets of tongs for different jobs. I swear to you, I make a new set of tongs for every project. So, yep. This is my first pair of tongs. They're really, really ugly, but I mean, I learned a lot making them. So yeah, I hand did these with my previous forge. I just heard a crack, and I always have to make sure that I know where cracks are coming from. Yeah, I made these guys, and the previous set of tongs I made on stream. So if you look back at, or like these guys, yeah, I made these on stream. If you guys want to check out that, I think the title I have is Test Blacksmithing Streaming, something to that effect, and then it's Tongs Project. There are, I believe, 12 parts to that because it took me so long to figure out how it was working. And most of those are an hour-long stream as opposed to the 2 hours that I currently stream. But yeah, you can check out those streams. I think they're still up for another another week and a half, because Prime lets me have my VODs up for 30 days, I think. So yeah, there's a lot of issues with sound, and a couple of them are like really little. I mean, I will 100% be doing another set of tongs on stream sometime in the new year. So if you want to wait and, not watch the bad ones and wait until I do a new one, you are more than welcome to do that too. I will be editing a video from that set of that series of streams. But I don't think it's going to end up being a tutorial because my sound was so variable. You can't hear it half of the time, but you can definitely see a lot of good stuff. I am also using the shop press for a lot of the actual forging, because that was back when I was like I've gotten a lot of stamina from doing this, but when I first started streaming I had like no stamina still. So what I'm doing is I am bringing the taper back towards the hook, so that we've got a little bit smoother of a transition. I would like to continue that taper back so that it's thinner, make that stem a little bit longer. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it over to the edge of the anvil so I can get a much more extreme taper in there. And it looks like I have about a half an hour left on this stream. I might stretch it out a little bit further, but I am gonna start running into the limitation of my gas tank. Because it's been so cold, it's been freezing after about 2 hours. So yeah, there's a frost layer that's starting to form at the bottom. And I think it's kind of strange, but I guess it just happens. As the tank empties, it gets colder, and like I said, it forms frost. Let's see. So yeah, I'm thinking, I know that I want to do, for future streams, I know I want to do a set of tongs. I would like to do some nails. I would like to do some silverware. If there's any sorts of blacksmithing projects that you can that you see on like YouTube or Google or whatever, and you want to see them, let me know. I'll add them to the list of projects that I do. I'm trying to keep them simple because, like I said, I'm still learning about the streaming process, and that is a lot of brain power. So the simpler the blacksmith project, the more focus I can turn on like talking to you guys and making sure that the camera is functional. So like I said, if you have any ideas for projects, let me know and I'll add them to the list. Whoa! metal is being difficult for whatever reason. It does not want to leave the forge. Yes, I get you don't want to leave the forge, but... There we go. So smacking it off of the edge of the anvil is actually creating a much more aggressive taper. I've lost a lot of heat, so I think I'm going to end up having to show you much more of that on my next beat. Let's see that I can make sure that it's in there properly as opposed to having to fight it. Alright, and we're starting to get a little bit of a taper in there, and that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see this a lot more refinement in there, but we also want to see it thin out a lot more. Because I want to increase the length of this so that I can wrap it around and make a functional hook. And it looks like I'm getting a little bit of scale. Let's see. So, I know I've talked about this on the stream, but it never hurts to repeat things. Oh, you're interested in the nails. Just because I've always fascinated by handmade nails, and I have never seen them being made. Yeah, I will definitely do some nails. So, nails are... They're an amazing beginner's project. They are... like early blacksmiths that took on apprentices. They'd have their apprentices do 100 nails every day at the beginning of the day as a warm-up. And then after they were done with them, they would be required to, help the master with the major projects. So basically what those are is they're long tapers where you leave just a section of the steel. Let's see if I can't find any laying around. Not that. So yeah, you leave a section of the steel unmarred for a head. So I know this is like a store-bought nail, but basically, yeah, you've got your taper going on there, and then you leave a section to form the head. So in order to form the head, you actually used a jig. And you woodworkers are going to know all about jigs. But basically, you have like a little section of steel, like a little piece of, like, I don't know, here's a nice chunk of steel. You can see I've cut off of this guy. Yeah, a nail header. So basically what I need to do is take a piece of steel, kind of like this one, and drill a hole in here so that the nails, after I've tapered them, will slot in there, and then it will create a cradle for the nail so that when I'm forming that head, it doesn't bend when I'm hammering on that top. So I will have to make a nail header before we can make nails, but that is a project that we can also do together. I have made nails in the past, but I've never made nails in my own personal shop. They've always been like demos and stuff like that at other people's shops that I've done. So we're continuing to bring that taper back. We're trying to make a much more extreme taper by going to the back of the front of the anvil. And it seems like I'm actually getting a decently smooth transition, and that might actually be because I'm going against this divot here in the anvil. But yeah, it's starting to get in there. And I think these hits are a little bit on the wimpy side, so I think next heat I'm gonna really get in on that. But you can actually see where the edge of the anvil was in a certain light. So yeah, this guy is it's a basic forging hammer. This guy is 2 pounds. It is the hammer that I've been using to kind of regain some of my stamina with. My favorite hammer that I used to do my 8 hours of forging with, and I used to do all of the paid work that I was doing. This is this guy, and this is a cross peen hammer, and it is a 3-pound hammer. It takes a lot more effort to lift this guy. I rehandled this, and I'm sure it's, you know, it's really, really ugly. It's nowhere near as pretty as Yankees handles. But yeah, it's kind of really basic. I think I made it out of a dowel that I had laying around. So we've got, you know, a nice metal wedge in there, or a round wedge in there. But yeah, this was my grandfather's hammer, and I broke the handle off and I had to replace it. And this was the first handle I ever did. You can see that I hammered it in there, and it kind of split the wood a bit. It still functions. It's pretty good. I still like the length of it. It's kind of on the shorter side. A lot of blacksmiths will prefer the longer handles, like this one. And I have to choke up really far, and so I always end up hitting the butt end of my hammer, or of my head on the anvil, and that it messes up my hammer rhythm, and I hate it. So I always chop off the end when I'm looking for a hammer. I go for the shorter handles. Yeah, it actually was really kind of rusty. So you can see I didn't really restore the top of it, but I did kind of restore a little bit on the edges, and I definitely restored the top. This one is, I've used this a lot, so you can see the color differentiation on it. But yeah, I did my best to restore that. I need to redo it again, because it's starting to get marred up. And the thing about blacksmith hammers and anvils is that any little chip or mar or ding in your hammer head or in your anvil head gets immediately transferred onto your piece over and over and over again. So if you want a specific texture, you can definitely create that with a hammer. But if you want a nice, smooth, professional, finish, you gotta dress your hammer heads and your anvil faces. So, when we were watching Yankees stream earlier, and I said that axe that he was working with looks almost like it could be
blacksmith face. That's what I was talking about. There was that one mar on there, but that was it, and it was really nice and shiny and bright. I could work with that single ding. Whoops. Misfire on that hammer blow. Alright, so we are creating the stem of this leaf with these nice heavy blows. And we're almost where I want it. I just want to like a little bit further. Maybe 1/8 of an inch skinnier. So we'll do maybe one more heat and then see if we can't get a little bit more length, and then we'll wrap it around after we create that the leaf itself. So yeah, when you are looking for a hammer to, start blacksmithing with, just be really careful about those textured claw hammers. I mean, I don't recommend using a claw hammer ever at all, because the bounce back that you're gonna get if you're using tool steel is gonna like make you lose control, and because like in the beginning you're not going to have as much control, and it's dangerous to have them claws coming up at you. So yeah, you want to make sure that you dress your hammer faces. Let's see. So yeah, this guy has kind of a more flat head, and then it has another round head. The round head gives it a little bit more, it's a little bit more aggressive, so you'll get more stretch with a round head than you will a flat head. So yeah, this is a really nice forging hammer because you have both of those faces. So any divots that you put in with the round section can be flattened out with the flat head. And I have that same differential that same round head and flat head on the dies for my press. So when we're using the press, where did I put that piece? Earlier I showed you, so earlier I showed you that this guy, and he looks like a crinkle cut fry right now. And that is because I used the round dies to taper this out, right? So this is what the round dies will do. And so when you got what you want here, every once in a while you want to straighten that out and flatten it out. So you use the flat dies, and they'll squish down all of the high areas, and it will actually lengthen it even further. All right. There we go. I got it. All right, so we are going to taper this down a little bit further. Exactly where I want it to be. Man, I hit the back of the handle of this hammer on the horn again. Okay, So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to round out the stem. So we are going to take the opposite corners. So this one here and this one here, and we're going to hit it flat on the anvil, and that's going to squish out those corners. And then we're going to do it, or turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to do it again. And so we're turning the square profile into an octagonal profile. And from the octagon, we can get rid of all of those corners again, and it turns around. So you go from square to octagonal to round. Once we round out that stem, we will start working on making a pretty leaf at the top. And I have lost my chat. Where did it go? Where did it go? I think I've got it. Oh, wait. Can I see it? Yes, I can. There we go. I have my chat back. Cool. I have my chat back. I was looking at this app that I have on this phone because we're getting close to the end of the amount of time that I can stream, and I want to be able to raid the next creator, but I can't find it in this chat interface. It was here before I started the stream, and now it seems to be gone. This is the Twitch cell phone app. If anybody's got a line on how maybe I might be able to find that. All right, so we are going to bring the square to an octagon. By crushing the corners, and then we're going to spin it around to crush the octagonal corners. And now we have a round. So for our next heat, we are going to form that leaf. Let's see. All right, I can scroll in the chat. I can do chat settings. Chat modes. Yeah, it's entertaining learning this stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it this time, but I will definitely do my homework and research this. I hope I can find it, but maybe if I hit that browse activity profile home,
Maybe? Tap to watch. So many exciting. Yeah. And that's my problem, right? I am learning, or I'm doing this on mobile, and so let's see. Everything is different than what I've seen because I've actually been a mod on a different stream, but that was on the computer, so all right. It's completely different on mobile. Oh, come on. Be nice to me. The piece of metal just like fell out of the forge in a weird way. Oh gosh. Huh. Let's bring it over here so that I can re-establish. Okay. So I'm gonna start crushing this down once again by hitting corner and corner. So we've got that back corner and we've got the front corner. And so we've kind of created ourselves a six-sided leaf shape. And this is a good start. But I'm gonna leave it real nice and thick so that my next heat I can change hammers to a cross peen and hit right in that center. And because we want to kind of create two blobs of material on either side of the center. Because what we're doing is we are transferring that meat in the center towards the edges of the leaf so we can get more width for our money and our material. I have a Wi-Fi extender, but it's a really cheapy one, and for whatever reason, it's not amazingly good. But I've never heard of a phone cooler. I'll bet that it's really nice though, because I mean, just like any computer or tablet, when it works hard, it gets all nice and hot, and then it doesn't want to work as hard. Let's see. So, do you guys have any other questions about blacksmithing or comments or anything like that? I've got time for a few more, but like I said, I'm starting to run long now. Ooh, I wish I could get 1080p. I think I'm at like 720 right now. My partner works for a news station, so as a very well versed and has all of his own equipment, and so we've got cameras all over the place, and we have extra computers. But I'm trying to take it slow. The amount of stuff I have to learn how to use, the better at first, and that way I can focus on learning each thing individually. So that's kind of where I'm at. But he keeps coming up to me with oh, I want to do this, oh, I want to do that, and I'm like, well, are you gonna be here to help me figure it out? All right, so right in the center we are hitting
to kind of move the meat to the edges from the center. So we've kind of got a nice U shape going, and we're starting to get a little bit of width. And that is what a cross peen hammer is really good for, is moving material in a perpendicular fashion. All right, and every time I do this, it's always wonky, but I think we're gonna be okay. So I'm gonna, for the next heat, I'm gonna keep going in the center, and then I'm gonna start pulling the material from the edges. That hundreds of questions and not coming up with them at the moment. All right, well, percolate on those questions, and if you can PM me, and I'll do my best to answer them in a PM or in the next stream. I will be streaming Friday. I will be streaming on Monday, but I will not be streaming on Christmas, which is Wednesday. We're going out of town. We're leaving on Tuesday, and we'll be back on Thursday. I'm not sure what time we'll be back, so I don't know if I will be able to stream a week from Friday or not. I'm gonna try my best, but I might not be around. But all through New Year's week, I will be streaming. So you will be able to find me on New Year's Day. And I can hear that I'm starting to lose pressure on the forge a little bit. And that's something that you kind of got to learn as you do. So a good way for me to regain a little bit of pressure is by shaking the tank. I'm not entirely sure why it does that, but it kind of like shakes the ice loose in there. So it works pretty well. I've probably got maybe 15-20 minutes before it really starts losing pressure. And I will definitely probably end up ending the stream there, because it'll take me a good 10 minutes to get up and running again if I have to switch my tanks. All right, so we've got a nice divot in there, and we've got a thick piece of meat there and a thick piece of meat there. So the next heat, we're just gonna squish that out and turn this into a heart shape. Yeah, percolate. It's kind of like coffee. It percolates in the coffee maker, and it kind of, acquires that coffee taste. But yeah, I am always interested in answering all of your questions. I love answering questions. I get to nerd out about all of this blacksmithing stuff. Now, I have a million questions about woodworking. So at some point, Yankee, I will come to you and I will have a million questions myself. I don't know why, but woodworking really intimidates me. I think it's because of the whole measure twice, cut once aspect of it. With metal, I am capable of fixing 95% of my mistakes through welding or more forging or recasting. But with wood, if I cut it wrong, there's no way to get that length back. So I just have to start over again. And yeah, woodworking is not my forte. But I always end up using it in my furniture. I always end up building the wood sections of my furniture like 3 times. So what I'm doing here is I am crushing out the edges to get myself a nice curl, a nice heart shape. And I am reducing the profile on that edge. So now I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to do it a little over here as well. And I think I'm going to heat it one more time, and we'll crush that out and get a lot of length. And this one's going to be a little bit wonky, but every single one is a little bit wonky, and I think that gives it character. It gives it that hand-forged feel and look. You see something like this, and it's made in like China, and it's like they just stamp them right out, and every single one is the same. But if I hand forge it, every little like mistake or decision is laid out right there on the metal, and I think that's great. See, now that's a thing. Rule 1 in woodworking: have more material than you need, because you will need more than you have. And that is, 100%, I swear. Last year I made 2 coffee tables out of red heartwood or purple heartwood, and do I have a maker's mark? I don't actually have one. I have like letter punches, and I use the R and the D, because my last name is Downing. So RD. And so I just stamp my initials on my pieces. I should get a more custom one. But yeah, I screwed my coffee tables up so hard. That heartwood twisted so badly, and it was so thin I couldn't even fix the twist. I was like, I'm gonna wet this wood and it's gonna untwist, isn't it? I'm sure you can guess how that went. All right, so we're gonna pull this on this side, and because I have so much material on that side, I'm gonna use a little bit of the crossbeam, and then I'm gonna flatten that out with the regular face, and that is one ugly leaf. All right. So now we have a leaf. It's ugly, but it functions. So I'm gonna twist this around and kind of create like a hole for a nail. And then after that, I'm going to turn the hook section into a J, because I want a J hook. Oh, come on. Be nice. We're almost done. Just call it a spade. Yes, it's totally, it can be a spade. Live streaming. Everything is live. I always do worse when I am doing demos than I do when I'm just alone in my shop vibing to music. That's another thing that I gotta figure out how to do. How to get copyright-free music so I can like use the music in my stream without getting copyright dinged. I do so much better when I have music going. All right. Let's see. I want this to come over. We're gonna start this like that, and then we're gonna bring it around and situate this over there. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. If you bring it over to the opposite direction that you want to twist it, you'll get a much more centered hole, or a much more centered round section. And I really want this leaf to be centered over top of the hook. And then I will twist it after I've created that round section, and then we'll do the J. And I'm going to pull out a set of scrolling tongs. So this is a set of scrolling tongs, and they're different than the hold down tongs that I've been using. These are kind of very like needle nose pliers like, in that they have round jaws. And these are actually used to create round scrolls with bigger holes in them. The smaller scrolls, like the one we did on the end of the J hook, we can do those on the edge of the anvil. A lot of them we can also do over at the horn, but I want something that is kind of a mid-range between the edge of the anvil and the horn. So we're gonna use the scrolling tongs. At least I think we're going to use the scrolling tongs. We might end up using the horn or the anvil because I'm really bad at scrolling. And this piece has been getting really temperamental on me. So we'll see what happens. So come on. There we go. It fell over in the forge. So grab this here, start curling around. And I'm gonna start using a little bit of the hammer a little bit. Go around the horn a bit. Straighten that up just a hair. And I guess I need another heat because I always need another heat. You can never have enough heats. There is some copyright-free playlists and stations on Spotify. And you just don't save the music to the VOD. Plenty of tutorials out there. Oh, cool. I will look into that. I thought that you could get copyright dinged for just having the music on during your stream, but I have seen people who had music going while they were streaming, so I wasn't sure if they were like paying for that music or what. I will definitely look into that. All right, so now we've got our nice round area, like so. And I'm gonna take this over to this edge here so that I can kind of twist it back. And now we have our spade on our hook, like so. Now we are going to put in that J. Sounds of the shop. I like the sounds of the shop too, but I have trouble focusing sometimes, and a good music track will, with a good bass, will, it helps me focus. So maybe I'll just put it in my own headphones. Like my hearing protection actually has Bluetooth capability, so I can listen to music while I am, using them. So maybe I'll just stream my music into my ears a little bit. And yes, hammering to the beat, it does help me keep time so well. All right. I'm gonna put those on that edge. And then we're gonna take this like this, and we're gonna start hammering off the edge again. And then we'll stub it back. So that we've got a J, and I did that backwards again, didn't I? All right, so now we have a J hook. And if I were, I'll bring that back around to the opposite side. I think that's how that would work. But I will have to, then I'll have to twist it. I think. I'm just gonna leave this project, and we're gonna learn from this project. Like I said, I'm a little bit on the rusty side with my blacksmithing. Just now getting back into it after a very long break. I'm having a lot of fun with it though. It's been a lonely and sad few years without my blacksmithing. So yeah. We've got a J hook with a spade on it. And yeah. So how to raid in this app. It would be nice if I could. Let's see. But I'm also not entirely sure who I should raid, because I'm still new to the stream, or to streaming in this section. Let's see. All right, I need to turn off the forge because it's really starting to lose pressure, and that can get dangerous. All right, how do I end the stream? That's a good place to start. Let's see. I think I missed one. I have that's a good place to start, but I don't have whatever was before that. Let's see. Okay. Use text commands. This channel is intended for mature audiences. Is it rating? Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I will get in touch. Or I do have a mod for the next week. Like the coming week and over, or I guess for the next 2 weeks. And then I will see what's going on. But I will definitely reach out to you, Yankee. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I will be back on Friday. See you later.